Hi everyone, today I'm going to be talking to you about the CIRIA NFM manual and getting you all involved.
Hello everyone, my name's Wren. I work for Mott McDonald and I'm the lead author of the CIRIA Guide that we are developing on the delivery of natural flood management. I'm really passionate about doing everything that I can to improve the communities in which I live and work and their associated natural environments. I've been involved in a range of NFM projects that reflect this, from the local scale, working with the Yorkshire Dales Rivers Trust in the small catchment where I live, through to the regional, helping to implement a multi-million-pound NFM scheme to reduce flood risk to the city of Leeds by using digital tools across the 700 km squared of the River Aire catchment upstream of the city. And now through having this fantastic opportunity to work with CIRIA to develop this guidance on the delivery of NFM in the UK.
So the workshop format today is a little bit different to last year when I was with you all at Scarcroft Village Hall and took you all out to see the Collingham Beck catchment. I'm going to explain to you today what the CIRIA NFM manual is, how you can help. We're going to have some breakout sessions to get you all involved, and then we'll have feedback either at the end, or if there isn't time then we will do an email summary. So I'm going to explain what the CIRIA NFM manual is, the team producing it, the scope and our vision, looking at the aims, the target audience, the measures that have been included, and the contents of the guide, and then how you can help, so our plan and our programme, the engagement plans, and how we can feed in your experience and expertise. So first of all, a bit about the team producing the manual. The guide's been produced by CIRIA, who are the Construction Industry Research and Information Association. They're a neutral, independent and not-for-profit organisation, and they promote knowledge sharing and building good practice across the built environment and construction sectors. They have a focus on the publication of guidance documents and have produced a real range of these, and their projects are funded by industry partners. So this guidance has been produced on behalf of CIRIA by a consortium of Mott McDonald, the Yorkshire Dales Rivers Trust, the River Restoration Centre, and iCASP, which is the Integrated Catchment Solutions Programme, hosted by the University of Leeds. So we bring together lots of different skills. Mott McDonald as a planning, design and engineering and delivery consultant who have experience of producing a range of previous CIRIA guidance. The River Restoration Centre, who are the independent and impartial specialists for river restoration and are well known for bringing together knowledge and evidence and collating and sharing best practice and their production of training and guidance material. The Yorkshire Dales Rivers Trust, who have lots of experience in delivering NFM projects in upland and lowland areas and engaging with a whole range of stakeholders. They've produced NFM guidance themselves and have an extensive network of NFM people involved in NFM. And finally iCASP, who are undertaking a wide range of research into NFM and contributing to the evidence base and guidance. And they're also serving a role to bring together practitioners and have developed a wide practitioner network themselves. So next, the scope and our vision for the guide. The guide covers the delivery of NFM from inception to reality and includes conception, funding, design, construction, inspection, maintenance, adaptive management and whole life management. It's primarily concerned with the where and the how of NFM delivery rather than the why, because that is already widely covered elsewhere. It aims to produce confidence in NFM and ensure that effective outcomes are delivered. The idea is that we produce a guide that is simple to use, easy to understand, and widely applicable. The guide is intended for use in the UK, although it draws on advice and examples from elsewhere and could be of assistance for overseas projects. The guide covers inland NFM techniques only and does not cover coastal natural flood management, and that's owing to the available resources. And detailed technical guidance is at the moment limited to 4 priority measures, and the remaining measures will be included using a one-page summary with signposting to other guidance. The primary focus of the guide is to help steer projects that provide flood risk benefit. It's recognised that well-designed NFM should also provide a whole host of additional benefits. However, the primary purpose of the guide relates to effective design of nature-based solutions to deliver flood risk reduction. The guide's based entirely on existing information and experience, and we want to enhance what's already available. We want to signpost things rather than recreate. And the biggest challenge is that we need it to be concise. We want something that is easy to use and easy to find what you're looking for. The measures to be included have been agreed by the Project Steering Group and CIRIA, and they're based on the maturity of existing guidance, taking into account guidance that's been currently prepared by others, and also the degree to which each NFM measures is considered to provide flood risk benefit. There is an aspiration to add more measures to the guide if more funding is made available. The 4 measures currently included are flow path interception, so measures to divert or intercept overland runoff, and this includes farm track management, cross-slope hedgerows, bunds and fill corners. Storing water, so measures that create and maintain capacity in bunds, ponds, ditches, swales or floodplains, so they fill during rainfall events and empty slowly over 12 to 24 hours. The third one is leaky barriers, so these may form naturally or are installed across watercourses and floodplains using live wood, timber or stone to reduce flood risk, slow flow and improve floodplain connectivity. Floodplain and wetland restoration is the 4th one, so this is reactivating floodplains to allow permanent reconnection between the river and its floodplain, so to increase the lateral connectivity if that's been reduced, or else to increase the frequency of inundation of the floodplain. The target audience is those organisations at the grassroots level of NFM. We want a guide that speaks to local community groups, land managers and farmers, and environmental NGOs like rivers and wildlife trusts. The idea is that the guide will help with conceptualising an NFM scheme and give information to help select methods, identify funding, specify work, and design and deliver schemes. The list on the slide shows the groups of organisations potentially involved in NFM, with the main target audience in bold, and also the parts of the NFM design process that they may need assistance with. Next, the outline structure of the manual is divided up into different sections with differing levels of detail, and we've been discussing with the project steering group whether we change this, but as it's presented here is as we produced the initial scoping guide. So the first part A, is more of an introductory section that looks at the overview of the guide and the types and benefits of NFM, then introduces aims, concepts and principles of NFM, and has a section on managing risks and overcoming challenges. Part B increases in detail and provides guidance on the overall NFM process and more in-depth information on the range of activities that need to be considered in the design and delivery of natural flood management. Part C gives detailed technical guidance on the individual NFM measures. This will give practical examples of how to apply the design framework for those measures, considering the costs and benefits, the design and materials, the construction and the risks and the maintenance needs. Case studies and illustrations will be used throughout the guide to bring it to life. The navigation is still to be determined, but we hope to use something like colour coding or graphics to help the user navigate the guidance and quickly access the relevant material. So the next bit is how you can help. This slide shows the plan of the project and that there's 3 main phases to the work. The first phase is ongoing and is the scoping phase. We've already undertaken a literature review and we've prepared a scoping report and conceptual guidance. This is being reviewed at the moment by the project steering group, and next will be we're currently undertaking engagement with industry practitioners to try and really tailor the guidance and hone it into exactly what everyone wants to see. The next stage will be from this autumn through to next summer, and it'll be drafting and developing the guide. The sort of drafts of the guide will be reviewed by the project steering group, and there'll be an external peer reviewer. And finally, we intend to launch the guidance towards the end of 2021, and there will be a series of launch events and webinars to share that with everyone. Collaboration to help steer the guide is at 3 interconnected levels. So the project team and CIRIA are in regular contact to steer the guidance, and then the project steering group we interact with periodically through project steering group meetings, through them reviewing the draft reports and producing comment logs, and if needed they can provide detail on specific topics and guidance and steer. And then at the widest level, we have engagement workshops, of which today forms one, where we're looking to explore particular topics and gather information for case studies or just really good things that have worked and things that haven't worked as well. We will be going out to industry consultees, perhaps with a questionnaire and a number of interviews, again to gather information. And more generally, our networks our professional networks of people we know to get case studies and specific advice. So the aims of the engagement are to feed in as many viewpoints from across the industry as we can and people involved in natural flood management. So today is a real opportunity for you to help us steer the guide. We've scoped the initial guidance, but it's far from complete, and your input today will really help us tailor the guide to what people want to see and really help us to produce something that will be useful for you and your colleagues and people working on your NFM projects. So also today we're after your experience and expertise. We're currently drafting the guide, and we're on the hunt for material, your experience, to go into the manual. Good things and not so good things that everyone can learn from. We're also after your really good photos to go into the manual. If you've got anything, then please get in touch, and it'll be really good to hear from everyone. Next, I'm going to explain what you can help us with today in the breakout sessions. So there are two topics that I'd like you to discuss in the breakout sessions as the main focus. So the first one is around the design of natural flood management. I'm really keen that we explore whether it's useful to have rules of thumb, as in simple concepts that can be applied to help design NFM, or whether there's other methods that you'll prefer for design or things that you've come across that can help with NFM design. So it'd be good to explore in your groups how you're currently designing NFM measures and what sort of design documentation is being produced, and also where you're obtaining any guidance at the moment, what you look for, what's good, anything that you might be finding useful that you think should be going into the guide, or equally what's missing that you might be out there that you don't know about. So in terms of the rules of thumb, just to give you an example, here's one that we've put into the guidance at the moment on looking at one of the NFM measures storing water and a ponds example of a measure type. So here we've got some different aspects of pond design, looking at the volume, the zoning of ponds, the depth, the shape or plan form of the pond, and the residence time, and giving some really quite basic things to aspire to or to help steer the design. And this is the type of information that we intend to give for the NFM measures that are included. We'd like to explore with you whether you think this is useful and whether you have knowledge of locations where we can obtain this type of information for NFM measures. So hold that in your head. The second topic that we're going to explore is the sort of idea of an NFM framework, and in the sort of introductory sections of the manual we'd like to set out some aims or outcomes of an NFM project and some design criteria or critical success factors, so explicit goals that a project must achieve in order to be successful. And at the moment we're thinking we need those two different levels, so aims and success factors. But one thing that's been mooted is whether we also need principles, so the principle being a basic idea or a rule that explains or controls how something happens or works. And it will be good if you've got any thoughts on whether we need that level, or whether actually if we've got our aims and our success factors then we don't really need the principles as well, because I think there's quite a lot of, or we think there's quite a lot of overlap between those three things. Our initial thoughts on the aims or the outcomes of NFM should be that it should reduce flood risk in an integrated way across the catchment and potentially in tandem with grey infrastructure. To achieve the reduction in flood risk by restoring or mimicking natural hydrological processes, such as to infiltrate, slow the flow of water or store water. In reducing flood risk, it should also deliver wider co-benefits or multiple benefits, and they are across the entire sort of social and environmental spectrum. And we should look to work with others to maximise outcomes in terms of both the flood risk reduction but also the multiple co-benefits. And some examples of the potential design criteria or success factors that could be used for a project are listed here. We don't necessarily think that every single one has to apply to every single project, but they should be used to help as prompts to decide at the start of a project and to be reviewed as the project is going along, to decide what it is you're trying to achieve and how, by how much in some cases. So things around the cost and benefit of NFM, how much flood risk it's trying to achieve, what are the co-benefits that you were trying to achieve, and sort of ethos in terms of the way you're going to work, in terms of perhaps using renewable, natural and sustainable materials, local resources, and working safely. I hope you've got all that. Now we're going to have any questions, I think, before we head into the breakout rooms.